Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta. Wake the kids, get the neighbors. This is an extravaganza you won't want to miss. Flyers lose 10 in a row. Again, Sixers conversation today. Daryl Morey speaks to my old friend Mike Missinelli about the Ben Simmons situation and how Joel Embiid, playing so great, has lowered the asking price in a return for a Ben Simmons trade. Oh, am I making this up? Oh, I'm not making it up. It's only the truth, folks, which is all you get on the Farzy Show. Let's start it off because I know there's been a lot of conversation already regarding Joel Embiid and Daryl Morey and the 76ers. But let's just start off with something that, quite frankly, folks, it hurts my heart. And that is, and I'm not talking about Carter Hart even. I'm talking about my own heart, my actual heart. It hurts my heart to see how bad the Flyers are. And I know Kevin Hayes is missing time. I know Sean Couturier has missed a lot of time. I know a whole slew of Flyers players have missed time with injury this season. Like when we had Jim Jackson on the show a couple of weeks ago, he said a lot of teams have injuries, and somehow magically they've managed to stay in contention. Pittsburgh Penguins have missed Sidney Crosby, Malkin, all those guys, and they have managed to somehow magically have a better season than the Philadelphia Flyers. And every one of those guys I just mentioned are a lot better than whoever's on the Flyers right now. So the injury thing is not an excuse. I know a lot of times in the past, Flyers fans will look at the head coach and say, well, they're going to fire the head coach. And, well, they did that. I know a lot of times Flyers fans, myself included, will look at the Flyers and go, lack of effort. They're just not good. They're lazy. I don't think it's that. I think there's a harsh reality here with the Philadelphia Flyers that we all have to face. And it's not lack of effort. It's not the head coach. They're just not that good. How not good are they? Even if they wanted to tank right now, they would still have to tank past 5 other teams for a number 1 overall pick. 5 other teams. So it's closer to mediocrity than it is just being flat out terrible. But again, being the 6th worst team in the league, at least puts you in contention to be around the tanking process, to go through that with the Flyers again. But that's how bad they are. It's not a matter of effort. They got, and I know this isn't, you cannot always draw the perfect comparison and draw the parallel between shots on goal and effort. But I'm watching this team every night give effort. I'm watching them, though, be bad. I see them work to create opportunities. I see Ivan Provorov in the slot last night in the first period. He can't bury the puck. I see him in the slot in the second period. He can't bury the puck. And he's getting one-on-one opportunities with him and the goaltender, and it ain't happening. I'm seeing Claude Giroux get in front of the net, not be able to get the puck in the back of the net like what happened in the third period last night. They are getting opportunities. They're working for the opportunities. They're not cashing in. Scott Lawton, not that I'm looking at him to be a 30-goal scorer, but he's gotten opportunities in front of the net, not burying the puck. I see a guy like Carter Hart last night go out there and make close to 30 saves for this team. I see him giving effort every night. I see this offense giving effort. They're just not good. And I know a lot of times you just want to browbeat them and say, oh, this team, they got to get it together. They got to make sure that they're starting out well and they're starting strong. And as much as I'd love to see that happen, and I highlighted, what was it, the other night, they get 5 opportunities in the first 5 minutes of the second period, I want to say, and neither one of them they can capitalize. Cam Atkinson had one of the opportunities, and he has been exactly what I wanted him to be for this Flyers team. I was just hoping a guy like Kevin Hayes would bounce back, and obviously injury and things going on, he hasn't been able to do that. But I was hoping that Cam Atkinson would be exactly what he has been this season, which is a shoot first, goal first mentality, not a guy trying to be too cute with a pass or whatever, and he has been that for this Flyers hockey team. But everything else has just not fallen into place for this team. And you can look at the injuries, you can look at a bunch of things. But really what it comes down to is this Flyers team right now, Alain Vigneault, no Alain Vigneault, Mike Yeo as is the interim coach right now, whoever's running the ship. I don't know who could get more out of this team. I don't know if you could bring back the great Herb Brooks to motivate this team. I don't even know if he could do it. That's how bad it is right now with the Flyers. And for me, it's not even a question of motivation. It's just a question of Herb Brooks. I don't think he can get more out of this team. I think they're tapped out right now as far as good as it gets. 2 separate 10-game losing streaks. Never been done in Flyers history, and that's what we're facing right now. Mike Yeo was asked about it after their 2-1 loss last night to Jake Voracek and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Here's what Mike Yeo had to say about trying to motivate this team.
Our job is to win, and we're not winning, and so there's a number of players that take that very personally, and so I can see the frustration. So I think it's crucial that as a staff, we could go two ways. Obviously, we could try to beat them down and get mad at them. I think when you're doing that, you're sort of trying to motivate them. I don't think that motivation is an issue right now. Obviously our execution wasn't real sharp tonight. We didn't have that. Didn't see any lack of desire or lack of drive. Certainly didn't sense any of that on the bench. So I think that the other way that we can go right now is just do everything we can to continue to motivate the guys and continue to, come to the rink with a great attitude. We're being challenged, and so we have to rise up to that challenge, and we have to find a way to be better, and we have to find a way to overcome it.
I'm rooting for it. I just don't see it happening. And we went through the whole Hextall phase, and we went through that rebuild, and they still managed to make the playoffs a couple of times during that rebuild. You brought in Alain Vigneault, an experienced head coach. I thought maybe you whip this team into shape. You take it 2 other teams to the Stanley Cup. Wasn't happening here in Philadelphia, unfortunately. They had a great run during the bubble. That was fun 2 years ago. That was just nice. North of the border. Got to the second round of the playoffs. But that's been it. Last year was a dud. This year is a dud. We are in the process of a dud. And I don't know what Chuck Fletcher is going to do to turn it around. And I love this idea partially because it's just another change. And I think that's what this organization needs. Sorry, I'm talking hockey organization. I heard our Nasty Knuckle boys talking about this on their podcast. Nasty and Derek Settlemeyer, of course, and Riley Cote. New GM of the Flyers, Danny Briere. Now, some might say, oh, well, that's just what they used to do, is just bring in a former player and see what he could do, and then it never really panned out. Yes, that's true. However, I would love to have a little bit of the Ed Snyder regime back in Philadelphia Flyers blood. I would love to see that happen. I don't care if it's going back to the old days or whatever. Those old days you were competitive at least. Those old days you weren't losing 10 games in a row twice in a season. Hey, the Nasty Knuckles podcast, give that a listen. Let's see if they got any inside information there when it comes to what this Flyers franchise could be scheming behind the scenes as to who could be their next general manager. Hey, I'm just hoping that the Flyers are able to get off this second horrible schneid of their season. And it hurts my heart because I do love this team. I love the Flyers, love the orange and black. And it's just really painful to watch them actually give effort, but just not be good. Like, 11 turnovers last night. They gave the puck away 11 times. And Ivan Provorov, who I admit is one of their best players, had a bad game last night. He didn't capitalize on the 2 opportunities that he had to score. And then he had a turnover that led right to, I think it was the first goal by the Blue Jackets last night. Not his best game by far. But hopefully they'll turn it around. Let's keep our fingers for that. I'm rooting for it. I'm not betting on it. Now let's get to what I know a lot of people want to get into, and this is a story that is not going away anytime soon. And I do love the comments that I get, mainly the ones after the show, the ones that I get in some of our I don't know what to call them, repubs, if you will. But when we put little mini clips out there of the show, what rant I have, a guest we have on, whatever it might be, getting people to comment on that later is always fun. Somebody said to me the other day in the comments, why are you talking about Ben Simmons? Nobody cares. And I'm like, everybody cares. Because Daryl Morey, and to his credit, he gets it. He realizes what he has. He is holding right now, in his mind, a golden ticket with Ben Simmons. And he doesn't want to cash that in for anything less than what a golden ticket should be valued at. However, I don't feel yesterday he really helped his return on a Ben Simmons deal. He flat out said that he is moving the line down because Joel Embiid is playing so great. And we'll let you hear him. He was on with Mike Missinelli yesterday. And he talked about how Joel Embiid playing so great has lowered the expectation in a return. and really lower the asking price in a return because you won't need as much to go along with Joel Embiid. You won't need necessarily a Dame Lillard, maybe more so a Bradley Beal, maybe even go lower than that. Tyrese Halliburton, maybe lower than that. Harrison Barnes, a couple of first-round picks. For the first time, he entertained the idea of getting picks back in return for Joel Embiid. But it's because Joel's playing so great that you don't need as much because you have such a great player in Joel Embiid. I hate that mindset. I think he's right, but I hate it. I want them to still think the sky is the limit. I am not cowering to the trade deadline of February 10th. And I know a lot of people want the Sixers and Daryl Morey to say, oh, the trade deadline, you got to make a move. I think the best thing Daryl Morey said yesterday was that they're not just going to make a move to make a move. If they do that with the idea of, oh, wait, we got to make a move because we can't waste Joel Embiid's prime, you're only going to waste more of Joel Embiid's prime if you don't bring back max value in a Ben Simmons centerpiece trade. You're only going to waste more time of Joel Embiid's career, his precious time in his career, his precious prime years of his career, if you, fine, this will do, make the deal. That's only going to waste more time. And I love that he highlighted the fact that Sixers fans, and I highlight this all the time, that Sixers fans have already been through the muck. And they've come out the other side being able to watch Joel Embiid, see this team consistently make the playoffs, win playoff games, win in the first round, get to the next. Like, we all know the history there. I love that he at least acknowledged that. And he gets that that's why we have such frustration surrounding this Ben Simmons ordeal. It's because we went through all of that for this? Yeah, sure, get to the playoffs, win a playoff series, but consistently get bounced out in the second round and not be able to get past that point. We were at that point when the process began. As I highlighted yesterday, talking about losing Game 7 to the Boston Celtics with the Andre Iguodala-led 76ers. So now you have this team, you have this Joel Embiid-led team, and Daryl Morey summed it up yesterday as saying they have a Ben Simmons-sized hole in this team. And that's not really a matter of literally Ben Simmons not playing. It's that type of player not playing. And Ben Simmons would fit the category that they're looking to fill. They want better defense, Ben Simmons. They want a facilitator, Ben Simmons. They want somebody to come in here, play phenomenal defense, Ben Simmons. A rebounder, have someone to come in here and be a rebounder, Ben Simmons. They went from one of the best rebounding teams in the league to a bottom-tier rebounding team in the NBA. Ben Simmons can help you fill that void. I know that a lot of us are frustrated and angry with Ben Simmons, and I certainly am as well. But if you're not going to get what you're looking for in a return, I would love to see Ben Simmons play for the Sixers again. Because here's the thing. I don't care about what has happened. I care about what the Sixers can do. And if Ben Simmons comes back and is just his normal Ben Simmons self, and Joel Embiid is playing at this level, then yeah, I think the Sixers team could be something special. As in Eastern Conference champs, as in making it to an NBA final, as in doing something to win a championship with making another move. Because Daryl Morey did say February 10th, that deadline, he sees this team still making a move to make themselves better. Whether or not it's the move, like moving Ben Simmons, he's not there yet. That's what he's unsure of, and I understand why. I don't see them bringing back that star player. I think one of the things he got into yesterday, and Mike did a great job of asking him about this trade. Now, you can't, as a GM, really comment on trade rumors. Like, you can't say, oh, yeah, we talked about Harrison Barnes. Yeah, Harrison Barnes, want to have him. Halliburton, want to have him. The first-round picks, well, got to have them from the Kings. He did say, and this was as vague, this is as specific as he could get, and it's still rather vague. He did say that he sees trade pieces working out between the Kings and the Sixers. It's whether or not they can agree. He basically said there's a trade in there that we hope we could execute. All right, that's okay. I think you read between the lines and say that the report that was out there surrounding the 2 first-round picks, Harrison Barnes, Halliburton, and Buddy Hield, that's a trade that could come to fruition. And if you're throwing in Matisse Thybulle and you're throwing in Tobias Harris, throwing in max contract player right there, and Ben Simmons, then I think that's what would get that deal done. And that would alleviate a lot of cap space for the Sixers. That would also rid them of this Ben Simmons thing. It would also give them some trade pieces for maybe the offseason where maybe they package a couple of first-round picks and try to bring in that superstar player at the end of the season. I'm at a point now where I'm strongly considering that. I probably do that deal. If it means I can move on from this, and I love Matisse Thybulle, we all love Matisse Thybulle, but if this is part of the deal, I don't think that makes the Kings a special team. I see how it could make the Sixers a special team, especially in the not-too-distant future when you have that many assets going into an offseason. All right, let's see what you can do there. Plus, you're not taking that big of a hit because Tobias Harris right now isn't giving you anything anyway. So for me, I think that's a deal that you would actually make, and I think Daryl Morey was hinting at making that deal around the deadline if, in fact, that's what it comes to. And I would love to see the Sixers still be able to go out there and get that superstar player. I just don't see it happening. And I think Daryl Morey is coming to terms with that. The catch-22 of all of this is you want to get max value for Ben Simmons, but you can't dictate what that max value is. Unfortunately, the market is going to dictate what that max value is. And if Ben Simmons isn't playing, which he's not, and he's not gonna, then that trade value is only going to diminish, especially if you're going into it with the mindset of, oh, well, I got Joel Embiid playing so great, so I don't need that much in return anyway. Then you've already admitted to yourself that what you originally thought you were going to get back, you're not going to get back. They talked about an all-star caliber player. Then eventually it shifted to an all-star player. Then it shifted to a top 25. Then it shifted to the top 30. And then Daryl Morey, when he was on Mike yesterday, talked about how it's dropping to about a top 40 player. When push came to shove, when it came to asking about a franchise-changing move being made by this deadline, Daryl Morey said it's less likely than likely they're able to do that by February 10th, the NBA trade deadline. But let me hear. Let me play for you a little Daryl Morey on with Mike Missanelli yesterday, talking about Joel Embiid and how his play has kind of changed things and how they want to make sure that they get this deal right for Joel Embiid. Here's Morey yesterday with Mike Missanelli.
For Joel, we have to make sure we get this right and that we move ourselves into a higher tier of championship ability to win the championship and not just nudge ourselves from having the seventh best chance to maybe the sixth best chance in the league. It just doesn't make sense. Because Joel has lifted us into contention by his sheer will of greatness this year, that does push the number of deals that we would do are more likely, if that makes any sense. It's more likely that we can find ones that get us into that top few contention because of how great Joel is playing. So we are sitting right now on a better chance of a trade that actually helps Joel and the Sixers and Tobias and our whole team.
Let's hope so. Now, one thing that kept coming up here was Tobias Harris. I don't even think, like, I as I've stated many times, this is the Philadelphia Joel Embiid's. Like, Tobias Harris, as much as I would love him playing at a high level again, it's not happening. And I've said this many times. Just go, like, Tobias Harris, take a couple of weeks off. Come back healthy. Come back 100%. I know the team, they need just about everybody they could get right now, but Tobias, take a walk, man. You go relax, come back when you're 100%. But Daryl Morey kept on working Tobias Harris's name unprovoked into this conversation. And I was like, oh, yeah, Tobias Harris is still here. He's not looking to trade Tobias Harris as of right now, but I think he's willing to part ways with him if it means it does help them get rid of Ben Simmons, as many reports have been out there already. But as far as Joel Embiid helping this along, when he was pressed on that a little bit, he said, it's not about really why another team would be willing to help you because Joel Embiid is playing better. It's about the 76ers needing less because Joel Embiid is playing better. If you have a great player playing MVP caliber basketball, then maybe you don't need somebody else to raise your floor as much to get to your ceiling. Joel Embiid brings you closer to that ceiling, so you don't need as much to raise you up. You don't need as much to stand on. That's his philosophy behind it. But still, I think you should ignore that and still get as much as humanly possible for whatever you could bring back in a Ben Simmons deal. The thing that I think most people will take away from the interview is that Daryl Morey's asking price is dropping. And if he wants to consistently say, and I don't think both these things can be true, if he wants to say in one breath, we're not going to make a move to make us a little bit better. We got to make a move to make us a lot better. And I don't think the deal with the Kings that's on the table makes this team significantly better right now. If he wants to talk about having the 7th best chances to win the NBA title versus having the 5th best chance to have the NBA title or win the NBA title, I don't see Halliburton doing that. I don't see Barnes doing that. I don't see Hield doing that. I don't see first-round picks doing that. Not this year, at least. So that gets me thinking, is he even considering February 10th anymore to move Ben Simmons? And I don't think he is. I certainly don't think he's on the 4-year plan that he was a couple of months ago when he was with Miss Nelly. I think where he's more in the avenue of it's not going to happen on February 10th, but it's going to happen in the offseason. Because I think they realize that they can't make this deal right now. And if you're a team, you don't want to make a trade. If you're a team that thinks you're in contention right now, you don't want to make a trade when it's already been out there that Ben Simmons is going to need a couple of weeks to get back into shape, to get back into game shape. You'd rather make that move in the offseason, wouldn't you? Think about this for a second. If you're another team's GM, do you want Ben Simmons for every possible game down the stretch? Hell yeah, you do. And the only way that's really going to happen is if you make that deal in the offseason. Ben Simmons gets time to work out with the team, gets time to meet up with the team, gets time to learn your playbook, whatever, gets to build chemistry in the offseason. You don't want to just throw him into the mix when you're already going to be missing him a couple of weeks just so we could get in shape. Then after that, you got to build up chemistry with your teammates. They got to learn how he plays. You got to learn how he plays, all that stuff. They play, whatever. You got to make it work. So if you're an opposing GM, which is the way you have to think about this right now, why would you make that Ben Simmons deal right now? If you're going to have to wait for him to get in shape, him to build chemistry with the teammates, and then hopefully you'd have enough by the playoffs. That's difficult to do. We've been through enough changes in Philadelphia in recent years over so many makeups of this team, whether it's trading for Tobias Harris, whether it's trading for Jimmy Butler. We know that it takes time to build that, not just offensively speaking, but defensively speaking. I mean, that's one of the things Jimmy Butler mentioned when he came to Philadelphia. It was a matter of, yes, we're going to figure it out. I know we can figure it out offensively, but defensively, that's where we're really going to have to build chemistry. So when it comes to that with Ben Simmons, I don't see a GM looking to trade for Ben Simmons mid-season. I don't see them willing to do that by the trade deadline. I see them willing to do it in the offseason, and I think that's more or less what Daryl Morey's getting into. Plus, if you have those other first-round picks in the offseason, I think you're more likely at the end of the year to be able to make a move for that big name that you really want to bring back to help Joel Embiid and this Sixers squad. So I know NBC Sports Philadelphia has it out there on their YouTube channel if you want to check out the Daryl Morey interview in its entirety. A couple other things that he got into. I mentioned he said it was less likely than likely that they're going to make a big deal by this trade deadline. He also talked about how he needed to look in the mirror. Like when he looks at what he could have done better to advance the relationship between Ben Simmons and the 76ers, he says he wishes he established a better relationship with Ben Simmons before all this went down. When it came to reasons as to how we got to this point right now, he said it doesn't really matter what the reasons are. No, it matters that we're in this spot, and they want to fix this. They still want Ben Simmons to come back and play for the Sixers. And I'm on record. If Ben Simmons wants to play for the Sixers again, which is not happening, I'll admit, but if in that 1% chance that he does, I'm willing to see it because I only think it'll help the Sixers be able to move him later on. It's not happening. It's unfortunate that it's not happening. But that's where we're at. And here's the thing. I don't see Ben Simmons coming back better than what he was. The big thing going into the offseason, even before, Ben Simmons is never going to play here again, even before this conversation, the big thing for me was I wanted him to play. I was going to welcome him back. He needed to show that he had a mid-range game. He needed to show that he could hit free throws. Other things that seem impossible, those two things right there. But if he's not going to show that, then move on. Now it seems like we're not even going to get that opportunity. So all of a sudden, if he does join this team again, not happening, but if he does, just to entertain this fantasy for a second, if he does decide to make that happen, I don't see him coming back any better than what he was. Ergo, I don't see the Sixers still making it to an Eastern Conference final or making it to an NBA championship. I don't see that happening. Again, breaking news. But all of that is on Ben Simmons' shoulder at this point. And it seems like both sides are still very much dug in. And as Woj has told us throughout the week, there's been no movement. It appears one thing has moved. One thing has moved. and that's Daryl Morey's asking price. That appears to be what has moved so far. To help us break it down even further, Paul Hudrick of Liberty Ballers will be joining us momentarily to go through all that Daryl Morey had to get into. One of the other things that he did mention yesterday was that they're not looking for a stellar deal. They're just looking for the right deal. I think for a lot of people, stellar is the only word that's going to really apply and get them excited going forward about the 76ers team. Again, I would welcome Ben Simmons back because I don't think they're going to get max value. As I've been saying really throughout this entire process, I don't think they're going to get max value for Ben Simmons until he plays basketball again. So I hope that he does play. Now, being that they aren't, I think that's where Daryl Morey is now settling on the idea that they're not going to get exactly what they went into this whole ordeal, hoping they would get back for Ben. That's the way it's going to play out, unfortunately. February 10th, just a couple of weeks away. And that's what we'll see what the Sixers actually do come to deadline. I still see them making a move. I do see it being more along the lines of George Hill than anything else, as opposed to somebody that's really going to come here and compliment Joel Embiid. So that's where we're at right now. Let's tell you right now about our good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Valentine's Day just around the corner. Look at this beautiful emerald rose, gold-dipped rose, just gorgeous. This rose will take her breath away. I mean, Steven Singer really makes it easy year-round, but especially makes it easy for you on Valentine's Day. When she opens this box to reveal this real rose encased in brilliant 24-karat gold set against stunning deep green petals, oh, man, she's going to be wild. Don't leave her green with envy. You know what I'm saying? Go to IHateStevenSinger.com today and get your Steven Singer gold-dipped Emerald City green rose. It is just beautiful. Look at that. Get yours before they're gone, exclusively and only available at Steven Singer Jewelers. It's the #1 gift this Valentine's Day, as it is every year. Steven's famous gold-dipped roses start at just $59, and they come with a lifetime guarantee. Fast and free shipping to arrive in time for Valentine's Day. Real jewelers, real roses for real love. Steven Singer Jewelers. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let's break down this whole Ben Simmons ordeal a little bit further with our good friend Paul Hudrick of Liberty Ballers on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Let me get a good look at him, I think, because everyone evaluates your appearance there, Paul Hudrick. I just want to... Yeah, you look about the same. How's life treating you there, Paul Hudrick from the great people of Liberty Ballers? Check out his amazing Twitter profile right there. Look at him. Sleeve and everything. Looking awesome. So actually, there he is. Yes.
We hear the funny story behind that. The sleeve is not a fashion statement, and it's not something I did to look cool. Oh no! I had really bad poison ivy, and I was covering my arm with that sleeve. Yeah, that's all that was.
I thought you were kidding around to try to be like Iverson during that was like a media game, right?
It was a 3-on-3 media game and influencer game done by the people at Red Bull. Our good friend Zach Niner, who was formerly of the Sixers. He organized it, and our good friend Danny Palmel's played in that. And I just said poison ivy, covered it up.
That is so brilliant. If I ever have poison ivy and ever do anything athletic again, I'm taking the Paul Hudrick route. I'm going sleeve. By the way, Danny Palmel's can ball. He can play.
He's pretty good. I'll tell you what. My team didn't win a game, and
poison ivy. You couldn't extend. What do you do?
Sure, something like that. No.
So Paul Hudrick joins the show. Liberty Ballers. You started over there a couple months back. How's it going over there with the great people of Liberty Ballers?
It is going awesome. I love my team. I love SB Nation, and it's been a really cool experience, man. We're doing some really good things on the written side, on the podcast side. Tons of great people. I don't even want to list anybody by name because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But we have a lot of really great contributors, and we have a really great podcast. I will mention Jazz Kang is the guy who runs our podcast, and he is awesome and does such great work. And we got to get Marc Farzetta on one of the Liberty Ballers podcasts. I think that's something that's.
I'm very busy. I mean, it's not like
you are.
It's not like you come on my show at a moment's notice and just like, hey, no. I'd be happy to do that, of course, man. So we got a lot to get to here, my friend. We got a lot to unpack here when it comes to the whole Ben Simmons thing, when it comes to Joel Embiid's 50-point night, it comes to Daryl Morey's conversation with Mike Missinelli recently. A lot to get to here. First off, have you been swayed in any way to think that the Sixers will make a deal involving Ben Simmons by the February 10th deadline with all the information, including the new information from Daryl Morey? Any reason to believe it'll happen by the deadline this season?
If you had asked me before Daryl Morey was on Mike Missinelli, I might have told you that I was leaning 60-40 that he would still be here after the deadline.
Ooh.
And Morey's comments might have literally just flipped that for me.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Because Mark, the stance just softened so much, right? Like this guy was literally on Missinelli's show. What was it, like 2 months ago, saying we'll keep him for 4 years. Now it's, we're going to do everything we can to try. It's like, whoa, well, that's a completely different tone. And obviously Joel Embiid being Joel Embiid has changed that calculus a little bit, where Daryl Morey says, well, maybe we don't need a top 30 guy. Maybe we can get a top 40 guy who just is a really good fit next to Joel Embiid and is next to the rest of the roster. So given all that, and then he kind of got into the idea of, taking on maybe a young player and some draft picks so we have more ammo down the line. And the Sacramento Kings were specifically brought up, and he said, "Oh yeah, there could be a deal with the Sacramento Kings." What?
He literally said
to me,
yeah, he literally said, "Yeah, I could see a deal happening there. Like there's deals in there. Like he didn't reference the exact deal, but he said there's deals in there amongst the two rosters that could be worked out." And I was like, "That's amazing to me. That is amazing that he went that far."
Especially when you consider, I have been told since the summer, and it was reiterated to me when the rumor came out that they do not have interest in De'Aaron Fox. That is not a guy they're looking at. That is a guy that if the Kings wanted to move off from De'Aaron Fox would be going to another team. He would not be coming to the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I don't really have a clear indication of how they feel about Tyrese Halliburton. And when you hear Daryl Morey describe, a young player like Tyrese, maybe we could bring in of that caliber. Well, Tyrese Halliburton and Tyrese Maxey were in the same draft, and they're both guards. And if you redid that draft, they probably are two of the top picks you would take in a redraft of that draft. So I don't think you have to read between the lines too far to kind of see that Halliburton is a guy that they would have interest in. And I'm on board with that. What's tricky to me is if you're looking for a quote unquote top 40 guy, Halliburton is not that yet. I think you don't have to make too strenuous of an argument to say he could be that guy. I don't think that's crazy to say. A guy like a Harrison Barnes, certainly not in the top 40. Buddy Hield, not in the top 40. So I don't know who that player would be on the Kings. My guess would be it'd have to be a third team in order to get that quote unquote top 40 player.
Not to go movie reference on you, but I totally felt it was in the vein of Lloyd Christmas. So you're saying there's a chance when Daryl Morey was getting into the point about how the Sixers have a chance right now. He literally said you could go to Vegas and bet on them. You don't even have to do that anymore, but you can literally bet on the Sixers to win the championship because they have a chance. I don't see them having a chance right now with the way the team is currently constructed. I don't see them being the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. And certainly they were a 1 seed last year. And look, they still got bounced in the second round. So I don't see how he looks at this team right now and says, oh, yeah, we still got a chance with just Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. He said a 5% chance, which that's probably not crazy, like a 5%, because that's a 95% chance they're not going to do it. So,
right.
So, I mean, from that standpoint, sure. I mean, they have this much of a chance. When you look at the net, I mean, I get it from this standpoint, Mark, a couple different things. I would say, one, the Nets, KD is hurt. He's had injury issues in the past. You don't know what he's going to look like. I mean, clearly, when he is healthy, when he is right, he is one of the best offensive players in the league, has been for the last however many years, over the last decade.
Yeah.
When Kyrie Irving is allowed to play, he is very, very good. James Harden, admittedly, I would say has kind of taken a step back a little bit, but he's still great. He's still really, really good. And if the three of those guys are healthy, they're great. But that's such a big if. If one of them is hurt, Mark, that roster is just not deep enough, I think, to overcome it if one of those guys can't play. And you're looking at a guy like Kyrie Irving who's going to be a part-time player. Or like I'm thinking too, Mark, like right now, Philadelphia, they have a vaccine mandate, correct? Like you have to be vaccinated in order to go to the Wells Fargo Center. I think that would pertain to the players. So if the Nets and the Sixers met in the playoffs, I don't think Kyrie Irving could actually play in a game. So, like, when you look at it from that perspective, I kind of see what he's saying. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks are still great. Giannis is still Giannis. They, Drew Holiday's having a terrific season. Chris Middleton's a very good player, but even they're a little banged up. They don't have, Robin Lopez being banged up, or excuse me, Brooke Lopez. I always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke Lopez being banged up, and then not really having a sufficient big man to kind of take that spot. They lost PJ Tucker in the offseason, who I thought was huge for them in the playoffs. So certainly those teams are perhaps a little bit weaker. I still think they are the class. It's the Bucks and the Nets, but I will say that I think both of those teams are beatable, especially if Joel Embiid is going to be this guy. If he's going to be otherworldly like this, then they have a chance on most nights against anyone. But with that said, I certainly wouldn't make them the favorites, and I certainly think that Daryl Morey is going to be looking for moves, if not a Ben Simmons move. He mentioned this too, another move to improve this basketball team.
Would you do the deal, going back to the Sacramento Kings, would you do the deal which was Harrison Barnes, Halliburton, and Buddy Hield and a first-rounder? Would you do that deal?
So
for
the
Ben
one that
Simmons?
I saw, it was 2 first-rounders, and then it was Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably do that. Having Matisse thrown in there hurts me a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you think about all the things you accomplish in that deal, you get 3 players that all help you right now in Halliburton, Barnes, and Hield. 3 guys that I think all help you right now. You move on from Ben Simmons, who wasn't going to play for you anyway. You get off of Tobias Harris's contract, which is a lot of money over the next 2 seasons, close to $40 million. And then in return, you get a prospect in Halliburton who can help you now and also looks attractive perhaps in the offseason in a bigger deal. And you get those 2 first-round picks, which, again, look very attractive if you're going to go star hunting in the offseason. So for me, I would pull the trigger on that deal, and I think Daryl Morey would too, which makes me think that maybe that deal isn't out there because that's just a lot. That is really a lot to say no to. I get Daryl perhaps wanting that top 40 guy and maybe trying to get a third team in, and maybe that's still what he's trying to do. But for me, that deal, it hurts you defensively, like no doubt about it. To lose Matisse Thybulle, you don't have a solid shutdown perimeter defender. You have Danny Green still in that equation. You have Tyrese Maxey, who's improving. None of the 3 guys you're getting back for Sacramento are, I would say, they average at best. I would say Hield below average. So that would certainly hurt you defensively, but offensively, it would help you immensely. And since you have Joel Embiid, who's having such a great season and is so good defensively, I think you might be able to overcome it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm more along the lines of that type of deal. And when I heard Morey say the thing about not just top 25, but a top 30, maybe not just top 30, but a top 40, I was like, we keep on going backwards here. We're not going in the right direction. So I think I'm with you there. As much as I love Matisse Thybulle, I think I'm pulling the trigger on that deal as well. To get away from trade conversation for a second here, Tobias Harris, what's the deal? Like, what's going on there? He talked a couple of weeks ago about how he was still feeling the effects of COVID. He had the shoulder issue he was still dealing with, trying to get through that. He had a decent game against the Orlando Magic. Still not a great game, but a decent game against the Magic. If he is playing at all at the level that he was even playing at last year with Ben Simmons still in this lineup, this is still a much different outlook for the Sixers team, and you're really looking to add pieces while keeping Tobias Harris on this team. So what do you think is the deal right now with Tobias Harris?
I think health is the biggest thing. I mean, it's got to be, because like you mentioned, Marc, he was a borderline all-star last year. People here were flat out mad he wasn't an all-star. So for that flip-flop to now be at a point where he's getting booed pretty much on a nightly basis, like, it's pretty clear something's not right. Something has gone awry, and I think certainly health is a big part of it. You mentioned, he had COVID. He says he still has some lingering effects from that. He still feels like he has a cold almost every day. He had the flu not long after that. He had a hip issue sandwiched in between that. And then, as you mentioned, his shoulder tendonitis, which that's not going away. Like, shoulder tendonitis is going to stick with him. Like, that's not something that you just snap your fingers or, you give it a couple. No, like, he's going to be dealing with that possibly for the rest of the entire season. So I think it's health. And for me, Marc, Tobias Harris is a proud guy. He's been a durable guy throughout his career. But at what point, if you're Doc Rivers, do you kind of look him in the eye and say, man, like, maybe you're better off just resting. Like, maybe you're better off healing your body, making yourself feel better. Like, it's commendable that you want to help this team.
Sure.
We respect you as a player, as a teammate, that you want to go out there every single night. You are a guy who wants to play 82 games. You've done it multiple times before. I get all that. But perhaps the best way you can help the team right now is to go sit out, get healthy, and then come back when you're 100% so we can really use you for the stretch run and have you in the playoffs. So, I like I said, it's commendable. And I think the one thing, you could say whatever you want about Tobias Harris, the guy really does play hard. The guy works hard. He works on his game. He tries to add something to it. He makes an awful lot of money. That's a totally fair thing. He probably, not probably, he is. He's overpaid. He's a near max player and he doesn't produce near max output. But I think this is just him trying to push through something when maybe he shouldn't be trying to push through it.
I look, folks, I think my audience knows I'm not professional enough to do a pre-interview or have a producer do a pre-interview or anything like that. Paul, I've been banging that drum for the last month. Like, this isn't benching Tobias Harris. This isn't like he sucks, bench his ass. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying go away. Like, sit in your house, sit in a whirlpool, eat fruits and vegetables, whatever you got to do, crush a bunch of kale. I don't know, whatever healthy people do, and get healthy, and then come back as that caliber player that you were last year with this Sixers team, and I will be a happier man for it, because Tobias Harris isn't a guy that I necessarily would boo. He's a guy I root for, actually, because I think he's got a great attitude. I don't think it's a lack of effort. I think it's a lack of ability right now, and like you said, health mainly with him. So I'd want him to come back healthier than ever and better than ever. And I think the Sixers are looking at it right now, and I think he's looking at it also as, we're already down Ben. Matisse Thybulle's hurt now. We don't know who's going to be leaving and be in and out of the lineup with COVID protocols. I got to be there. It can't all be on Joel. And it's like, I think you're helping Joel more if you actually take a break and come back in the second half of the season, I don't know, refreshed and feeling better.
Yeah, and like I said, I think on top of that, he is a very good teammate. I don't think you'd find a single person in that locker room that would have a single bad thing to say about Tobias Harris. So yeah, I would think that if he did that, if he were to go to Doc Rivers and say, hey, I need a break. Like I need to take a couple weeks off because I'm not 100%. Doc Rivers would say, okay, great. We'll figure it out. Like we've won games without Joel Embiid. We've won games without you. We've won games without, like, we'll figure it out. We'll get by. And especially if we have Joel Embiid, we have a shot every single night when that guy is playing. So like, and I think every guy in the locker room would feel the same way. Like if it was to that point where Tobias felt like I'm not healthy enough to help this team and I need to take a step back, I think he'd have the full support of everyone in the locker room.
Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Last thing for you, my friend, when it comes to Joel Embiid, I know we feel like we always run out of adjectives to describe this guy and how great he really is. And then he goes and drops 50. Granted against the Magic, but ain't the question. It's 50 points. How do you describe this guy? Like, what's the best way to describe how good he is yet?
People throw around that word unicorn to describe guys, but like he is a freaking unicorn. Like there is nothing like him that's ever exist. Doc Rivers last night said he compared it to, he said he's a combination of Hakeem Olajuwon and Kevin Garnett.
Oh my God.
Mark, comparing him to one or the other would have been a sufficient enough compliment, but to compare him to two of the greatest big men to ever play basketball, a guy like Doc knows Hakeem. Doc played with Hakeem in Hakeem's time. He coached Kevin Garnett, so he knows those guys extremely well. And then on top of that, like you saw Drew Hanlon, his trainer, put out the video where he's taking shots like Kobe and Michael Jordan, and it's like this is unreal. And I saw another thing too, not to like steal from a bunch of other people to describe, but like Matisse Thybulle was on JJ Redick's podcast, and he mentioned that it's almost like this blend of like eras where he can be Shaq and he could just bully people and beat the crap out of them and just pin them and dunk right in their faces. But then he also can take people. Last night he did that coast to coast where he puts the ball behind his back and then has that beautiful finish for an end one. And it's like, this is not what 7 foot people do. And it's not just 7 foot, Mark. It's 7 foot and you don't even want to guess a number, 280 plus, I guess we said. But to have that combination of size, of skill. He takes threes, obviously. He's shooting those at above league average clip this year. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. I don't know that we'll ever see it again. And then I think his defense isn't talked about nearly enough. I think you could make an argument it's him or Giannis is like the best two-way player in the NBA. I don't know. Like, I would say overall body of work, you would have to put Giannis ahead of him. But right now, I don't think anybody is playing better two-way basketball than Joel Embiid. It's mind-blowing to me. Like, I think of all the things that Sixers fans have gone through, right? And everything that it took. And some people will say, like, oh, man, all the process and everything. And all you got out of that was Joel Embiid. All you got out of that was maybe the best player on the planet. Like, so to me, all of that's worth it because you have this guy here in his prime. And it's crazy to think about too, Mark, when I think back on his career early on, and like people were wondering if he was ever going to play a game when he came to the league and missed his first 2 years. I'm at a point now where he's 28 years old. He's in the best shape of his life. And I just see that game. I think you're old enough, Mark, with me to remember like late career Michael Jordan when it was just fadeaways all day. And that's what he did. He just fadeaway, just killed people in the mid-range. And I see Joel Embiid's offensive game actually aging really, really well. So we talk a lot about his prime and wasting it and blah, 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 blah. But I think he is literally just entering it right now.
During the second half of that answer, I couldn't help myself because you said that we had kind of already said the word unicorn surrounding Joel Embiid. And I couldn't remember the difference I couldn't remember if a unicorn had wings or if it just had the horn. And I remembered a Pegasus has the wings. And I'm like, is there a combination of both? And sure enough, there is. Pegasus is the flying horse. I don't think it necessarily has to have the unicorn horn, but some do, as Google Images is telling me, and I'll scroll that later. First time I ever Googled that. And I'm going to tell you right now, Joel Embiid, no longer a unicorn, even more special, Pegasus. I'm going with Pegasus.
Okay. I'm in for that. Your Google search history, I hope your wife doesn't look at that because that could be really weird for her.
Yes. Why am I getting Pegasus? Pegasi? What would be the plural? Anyway, Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers, you do a phenomenal job, man. If you're a Sixers fan and you're not following Paulie, what the hell's the matter with you? That's all I have to say about that. And that sleeve right there, folks, covers up poison ivy for future reference. Did you have aloe under it? I have to know. All right, don't answer that. Anyway, Paul Hudrick, great catching up.
But it looked bad. Anyway.
Good enough. And little Miles is good? Your little son, your little boy?
Miles is great, man. He is 8 weeks old today. And he is amazing. He's awesome.
Awesome, brother. Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers, joining the show. Paulie, thank you so much, brother.
Anytime, Mark. You got it, buddy.
The great Paul Hudrick joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. His name is Paul Hudrick, ladies and gentlemen, and it is good to catch up with him as per usual. I saw somebody say they look like a sensei. We'll get to the comments in the chat in just a second here. But here's the interesting thing, folks. When it comes to everything that you could get into with Joel Embiid, I think Pegasus is the way we have to go about this now. I think that's the way we have to go about this. Alicorn? Okay. Let me tell you about the amazing people at Rothman Orthopaedics who do a great job bringing us on Rothman Orthopaedics guest line each and every day. Remember the old you, the one that didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or how about that shoulder that now no longer does what a shoulder should do? The Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, back to walking, back to working, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. How about the people at BetQL? You want to take the advantage over your sportsbook? You download the BetQL app, and man, let the winning begin. The only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports, and they give you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, player props, and if you want to use their model and prefer to do your own research, BetQL has all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineups, injuries, breaking news, and even a leaderboard for you to track your own success. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app. How about WinView, ladies and gentlemen? That's how you can do the research. This is how you can win some money. WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who's the biggest sports fan? If you have those friends and family members who think they know everything about sports, challenge them to a WinView contest and see if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Play a little playoff football, a little regular season NBA hoops, something like that. See who knows more about sports. Challenge him to a WinView contest and see who can win some cash. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that you love so much. So download the WinView app right now. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across social media and blogs. Philadelphia Sports Nation, phlsportsnation.com. Let's jump into our chat check. Mally, the first one I'm seeing right now is I think Marc's search history is basically button-ups and erotica with button-ups. Thank you, Mally. Nice to have you. All right, let's see what else everyone else has here in our chat check. Starting off, Mally, this is the first one I see here. Well, okay, JC got the plug for early cut. All right. They open? Eric, who's open? Oh, getting the early. Oh, I see what you're saying here. Getting the barbershop cut. Okay. Who tailgates their barber? Apparently John does. There you go, John Cheeseborough. Mopar, good morning. Don Vito. JC, makes me want to use your barber because of the exclusivity of that statement. What does John say? Yeah, my barber, I got to get him as early as I can. I miss the barber. I've said this before. I miss going to the barber. Dave's Barbershop at Ambler. Wonderful people. Wonderful people. My man, Alex. Miss you, buddy. Let's see. Don Vito. You're bald? Do you still go to the barbershop? Every once in a while, there was a guy that would come into the barbershop that was bald, and he'd just hang out. And I was like, I know I'm headed that direction. Am I going to be that guy that's just to come to the barbershop and just hang out? I don't think I could do that. I'd feel like I was taking business away from him. I feel like I was taking up a chair in the waiting area. Like, I don't want to do that. And a paying customer standing? That's what I feel bad at. I did do a drop by once just to say hi. It was great catching up with those guys. Don Vito, 5'4" Farzy and me are bald. Don, it happens, brother. When did you notice you were going bald, Don Vito? I was 17. Notice the little triangle of hair missing? Yeah. And I was like, what's that? Oh, no. And then my brother was already going bald, so I was like, I was hoping I had different genes. Damn it. Even if you are bald, nobody can shape a beard like the barber. PJ, you're very accurate in that. I bet Farzy is a hairy beast under that shirt. Men's and men's, my friend. Men's and men's. For all you non-Italians, men's and men's means like a little bit. So. Let's see here. Dan, I don't wish that on anybody. Dan Schwartz, good morning. Ben Simmons, good morning. Julian, I thought Farzi's 5'5". I am 5'11 and a half, and one doctor said I was 6 foot. So we'll go with that. 6 foot. Ben Simmons. Oh, jeez. Ben Simmons, what are we talking about there? Mal, you know he combs his chest hair every morning, just saying. Saying you got to leave like the rest of them, didn't you? Oh, saying you're going to leave like the rest of them, like my chest hair is going to fall out. I don't think so. That's plentiful, brother. Personally, I appreciate Maury's mentality. We don't want to be a 5-7 seed forever. See, Howard, I agree with you. And to me, if you make the trade right now for a lot less than what you're expecting, if you're going to move from a 7 to 5 seed and trading Ben Simmons, then what the hell did we go through that process for? Like, the ultimate end and deciding factor of the process not working, because it's still going on. Like Joel Embiid, if he gives us a championship, it worked. If they make multiple championship appearances, it worked. But if they end up trading Ben Simmons for a lot less than what Daryl Morey originally set out to get for him, then, oh my God, what an epic failure. We forfeited 4 years of our basketball lives, of our 4 years of our basketball fandom, to just end up exactly where we were? Mediocrity? No, thank you. That's exactly why the process started. So you weren't in limbo of those 5 to 7 seeds that, oh, yeah, you'll win a first-round playoff series and get to the second round, and maybe you'll make a conference final, but probably not. Like, that's mediocre. That's the limbo that we started the process at. Literally hit the reset button on it. Took Doug Collins out, brought in Brett Brown, Sam Hinkie, all those guys. Like, that's like, you don't need a history lesson. You get it. But that's exactly why we started it, to get out of that rut of just being a mediocre team. Like, look no further than Andre Iguodala. Like, Andre Iguodala is like a great player for the Warriors and all that, and a Finals MVP, but he's not a marquee player. And for the Sixers, he was a marquee player. That's the definition of mediocrity. If Andre Iguodala was your marquee player, your team leader, your leading scorer, then that's a problem. You're not going to be an upper echelon team. Now that Joel Embiid is that guy and well worthy of that and an MVP, it does raise that bar a lot. Now get those pieces like Andre Iguodala that can be good compliments to him. That's the goal right now. John Cheesebro, the problem right now is making the money match. No team would like to take Ben and Tobias. You are absolutely right. Wait, can we pay with whiskey and or fries? Is that what you're asking, John? Is that what we're packaging with Tobias? Buddy T-Mac, what's up, buddy? Nice to have you. I'm starting to think Tobias should not have the 11th largest contract in the NBA. I concur. Julian agrees. National Squirrel Appreciation Day? Is that what it is, Mopar? I don't appreciate the squirrels. I don't know where that's going. Why is Sue Serio getting a reference? I love Sue. Sue's awesome. Fun fact. I am you're somebody's highlighting it here. If I could, would you? She's married to Billy Vargas, former Fox 29 sports guy and author. Billy once interviewed me for a book he wrote about Philadelphia sports fans because he heard me tell a story once about how I met people that recently became U.S. citizens. I was in San Diego, and these people I met at a bar. We struck up a conversation, and they're like, "Oh, you're from Philadelphia. You guys. What was the 2 things they knew about Philadelphia? Whatever the first one was. Oh, parking wars." That show Parking Wars, that's how long ago this conversation was, 10 years. They knew the show Parking Wars and that we booed Santa Claus. 2 people that just took the citizenship test where I think they ask you stuff about Philadelphia, like Declaration of Independence, history. The 2 things they knew about Philadelphia was that it sucks to park here and we booed Santa. Cool. Anyway, Billy Vargas interviewed me for his book. Great guy. Billy's awesome. Let's see here. Rob Motti, what about Rob? Climate change. What the hell, Dan? Let's give it up for climate change. Gonna melt that ice quickly to get to the Flyers. Oh, get the Flyers the hell out of here. I see your strategy is there, Dan Schwartz. Let's see what else we have here. Valentine's Day is overrated. Mally. Valentine's Day is just a nice day to check in with your lover. That's how you got to look at it. It's like Mother's Day. You don't need a day to tell mom you love her, but it's nice to have one. Wait, hold on. Paul's shirt, not Marc on a horse? Okay, I got to find this out here. Still trying to figure out where to send Marc his emerald rose for Valentine's Day. Well, I'll tell you what. Look what I got, folks. Right there in all its majesty. Do you see that? The emerald gold dip rose from Steven Singer Jewelers. Look how beautiful. Mesmerizing. Yes, look in the center of the rose. How beautiful is that, huh? Isn't that nice? I bet you thought I was going to pull out the twerking penguin. Ha! Anyway, that's the rose right there. So don't send me one. I already got one, folks. Now that I want to see Marc, no man bun here. Sorry, Mally. You need Paul's shirt, not Mark's shirt? Yeah, Paul had a nice shirt on today. That Philly shirt was cool. April, you've seen me on a horse. Dan, you've seen me on a horse when I went to the Dude Ranch in Colorado. Why are we saying that, Grandmaster UV? Do you hate Philadelphia? James, good morning. Howard, good morning. What the hell? Harrison Barnes too old. Harrison Ford wouldn't be. That's good, Dan. Rick, I like you guys. You guys working together. Wario is in the middle of a soap opera in this city. Rick, I don't know. It just seems to be the way it goes here. Thomas McKenna, Farzy will not rest until he uncovers what is wrong with Tobias Harris. Yeah. Mark really hates Tobias. Mally, you know that's not true. Mark just feels, this is Dan, Mark just feels guilty because he smoked weed with Toby one time. Not true. Not true. You know, buddy, I thought the same thing. I wasn't sure if Hudrick said that Tobias is a durable guy or if he's an adorable guy. I think both are true, actually. He's mostly been durable in his career, and he is kind of adorable, especially when he works with Bobby. Mike Casey, Farzi's biggest causes in life: 1, legalize weed. Check. 2, solve Tobias. Yeah, I don't think. 1 done, the other not so much. Easy money. All right. Welcome to the chat. Don Vito, Bill, Safari, April. Mother's Day is definitely better than Valentine's Day. Spoken like a mother. Craig, what's happening? Mopar, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day. We celebrate February 12th being released from jail day. What the hell? All right, why not? If I could, would you? Just has sushi. John Cheesebro, Farzi's former Breakfast on Broad co-host Jillian Mealy is on Channel 6 right now. Is she really? Oh, I love Jillian. She's awesome. And I was never on Breakfast on Broad with her. I never shared the stage with Jillian. What the hell's the matter with you guys? All right, now we're just getting references to things I'm not understanding. Thanks, everyone in the chat, for participating in the chat. You guys are awesome, as per usual. Appreciate you guys. Let's move into our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Flyers are going to be back on the ice tomorrow night, so they get a night off. Hopefully, they won't make it 11 straight. Hopefully, they can sidestep that. That'd be great if they, didn't suck. So let's all hope for that. Sixers, that's not that. I had it in my notes here, and now my notes are just dying. My notes have died. Sixers are back in action tonight against the Clippers. 7 o'clock tip-off in South Philly. Hopefully, Joel Embiid continues to dominate, which I'm sure he will. I like his over tonight because I made the mistake of not liking his over last time. So we'll see where that goes for tonight. Sixers right now, 26-18 on the season. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to see more of me, guess what? I'll be on Fox 29 today at 7:45. Talking Sixers, talking Flyers, talking Eagles. Phillies don't really exist, unfortunately. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Jim Heinen produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production from the Steven Singer Studios. I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.